All right, everybody, ding, ding, ding. We are back in the building once again. It is Ringside Presents Corner Confessions, and as always, y'all know who I am. I am Troy Vaughn, also known as Trey Amazing, your favorite part-time stripper, part-time megachurch pastor, well, full-time dating commentator. And I'm here with an epic guest. She has decided to join me and grace us with her presence, the one and only Paris Santiago. And I can attempt to do an intro, but it won't do her justice, so I'm going to let Marie take it. Marie, kind of quickly introduce yourself. Who are you, and what is your impact here in Atlanta?
Well, my name is Paris Santiago. I've been in the art of female illusion and impersonation since 2011. So, been going on for a few years. Impactfully, I have helped throughout the Atlanta area in many proceeds. So, there's been many charitable events, pride events, many different, you name it, bar mitzvahs, barbecues, whatever we need to do. Turn up, let's have a party, let's just get into it. That's basically how it is. I like to just have a good time, very much so the professional party girl. Just enjoy the, only Latina Goddess experience.
Okay. Latina Goddess experience. I heard that. Now, you are well known in Atlanta. You have a lot of followers, a lot of fans. I mean, people know you. And so, of course, the premise of the channel, we talk about all things related to singlehood, dating, marriage, sex, kink, and fetish. And so, having you here today, I think, is an awesome opportunity to kind of, you and I, we've spoken over the phone, and yes, you shared a lot of great gems, and I was like, now's the time for you to get in the camera and share a lot of things you said to me. Yes. But now this is an opportunity for the subscribers, the viewers, to kind of, walk away with some nuggets of wisdom. So, talking about dating, and Atlanta can be somewhat unique as far as everyone's experience in dating. Sometimes, the highs and lows, the peaks and valleys, good, bad, ugly, and in between. Now, as someone in your industry, you are a drag performer, and I know that we briefly talked about over the phone how there are certain issues or certain nuances as far as, drag queens and dating. Can you kind of briefly, kind of go over some of that and talk about, some of the ups as well as downs?
Well, honestly speaking, when I first started doing the art of female illusion and impersonation, if you did that, that was basically, in a way, you're sentenced to not become romantic with anyone. Long story short, back when I started, drag was starting to become mainstream and starting to become added into pop cultures. RuPaul's Drag Race was out, but it wasn't as top tiered. It was still on logo television, so you had to have that channel to watch it. So it was out, but it wasn't out as it is now. It wasn't as mainstream where you see female illusionists and female performers, female drag performers walking on fashion shows, being publicized in magazines, being put into music videos and acting into actual movies for who they are and their parts. So that's what's happening now. So back when I started, it was a sentence to say single. And then you take into consideration living here in the South, especially living in Atlanta, me being Hispanic, but being a military brat, I'm not Hispanic enough for the Hispanic people. I'm not white enough for the Caucasian crowd, and I'm not black enough to be black. Even though I am mixed, Puerto Rican and black, it still was one of those things that I did not fit in any kind of way. You throw on an additional lifestyle back then where I was significantly larger. So being a bigger person plus not fitting in, and you're a female illusionist, yeah, there was no play for me. It was just me enjoying myself, being me, but romantically, that was out of the question. Which was fine because my main purpose at that particular time was discovering myself, focusing on my careers, and then making sure that I can focus on betterment for me going forward. So not having that distraction there actually worked out in my favor.
Now, would you say, and you mentioned, here in Atlanta, being a female illusionist, do you think being in the Bible Belt, you think that makes things, tad bit more difficult or more, as far as making dating or finding someone or being out with someone? Does that add additional layers of difficulty?
Well, I would say yes and no. Atlanta is a metropolitan mecca where a lot of people are moving in, and Atlanta itself is becoming very liberal and a lot more free-spirited than what it was when I first started. So today compared to then, significant difference. However, we are still in the Bible Belt. We are still in the South, and it's taboo. It's looked down upon. I mean, it's very that. So depending on where you go, it's look over your shoulder. You don't know what's coming. But then there's other areas in the city where you can be completely free and open and not worry. And if someone comes into that space to try to antagonize or bother, there are still others that are like-minded that will check it and check that energy at the door.
Okay. So I was reading, I don't know if you had an opportunity when I sent you the article. There's an article I sent via Messenger about female illusionists and dating. And I perused the article. It talked about how some artists, they have the difficulty because they'll meet someone who only wants to be with them for their persona, but not who they are outside of, the makeup and the appearance and the shows and the everything else. Have you experienced that? Have you experienced meeting someone you really liked them, but they like you to remain, in the wig, the dress and everything else, but you take that off, they don't want anything to do with you?
So I've never liked anybody who wanted me to stay in that way, simply because I would not date and try to get to know people in that aspect. However, when I'm like this and I'm out and I'm working and performing, I am extremely fetishized by a lot of people.
Interesting word, yes.
And it's one of those things that even while I was fetishized as a female illusion, there's times that I was fetishized as a man. So I always felt very weird because I felt as if me, myself, isn't good enough as a human, but me, myself, as an excitement level that's different to your life is the benefit for you. But I never got a benefit out of it. So that's why I never really jumped into any of that. People would try to say, oh, I think you should do this. I think you should do that. You should stay like this. It did not bother me because that's what you want me to do, but that's not what I want to do for myself.
Okay. So in addition to that, I mean, you're a performer and, you do gigs all over the city. I'm assuming outside of Atlanta as well.
Yes.
Has there ever been instances where you've been tempted to date someone who's come to see you at a show or a fan? Has that been the case?
Not at all. I've had people come up to me who I've spoken to via social media and stuff like that, who we've had connections and talked to. But as far as actually coming up to me and trying to become something more than what it is, that's never really happened. Or if it did, or they were trying to, I missed the cue. So it didn't happen. And that's perfectly fine as well.
Okay. So, I had to ask that because, like, as a performer, and you're on stage and you have fans screaming your name and stuff like that. I'm thinking, okay, are there boundaries as far as, okay, as a fan or something like that? Like, there has to be, some boundary or things like that, because it does happen for, for some performers. They will date, fans, and some have that clear, like, look, this is my work and that's it.
Exactly. That's exactly how it is for me. So this is work. This is a check. This is a job. This is exposure to continue to build more for this. I am a business owner, so I own multiple businesses. When I'm done with this, clock out, it's done until I need to clock back in. So that's the way that she works.
Okay. You and I were on the phone, you brought up an interesting vernacular, interesting word, and I wanted to see if you can expand. You talked about hobosexuals.
Yes.
Now, I know what that is, but for the subscribers out there, for the people viewing this, break down, because pretty sure you're not the only.
Whew, let's get ready.
Yep. Give it.
Okay.
So for the viewers out there who may not be familiar with what a homosexual is, how they operate, the thing, kind of break down, number one, what is the definition of a homosexual and what others can be on the lookout for.
Okay. So the definition of a homosexual is something that's probably not in Webster. However, my definition of a homosexual is basically a homeless or semi-homeless homosexual person who is willing to do whatever they need to do to either build their reputation up off of who you are or have a place to stay until they can find the next move. So there has been people who would come and try to date or talk to me or whatever and become around me so that way they can gain exposure with the networking, like guilty by association. So I busted my ass to make a name for myself and become who I am as a person. And people would try to attach themselves to that name to hope and gain interest or whatever, or notoriety to themselves, or even just to make themselves feel better. So there's that aspect. But then you also have the aspect, like I said, the person who will come and want to be right next to you. Oh, what do you need? I can come with you. I can help you out. Whatever the case may be. I just need a place to stay with you. And the next minute, they're sleeping on your couch for 3.5 months. Wow. We don't do that.
That's a long time.
You'll be surprised. Yeah. For me, it never happened that way because thankfully I wasn't stupid, but it was in and out of situations. If I felt that, someone wanted to come around, I'm like, yeah, the energy's off. I'm very big on energy. So I could tell immediately. But from stories of other individuals, yeah, 3 months is an easy number.
3 months, that's a long time to be crashing on someone's couch.
Yes.
Because you're trying to clout chase and trying to live,
Well, they got nothing else to do.
Right. Well, yeah.
They're not working. They're either new to the city, they're not working, they don't know anyone, or whatever the case may be. So that's what they do to try to build themselves up and hopefully land a gig.
All right. So, and I can definitely see that because again, it's like it can be a way for some to come up off someone else. And like you described, if you've busted your ass for years, you've built a reputation, some notoriety, some acclaim, then someone else can come in and just, quote unquote, offer to be a benefit when it's actually a benefit for themselves,
right,
to be close to you. And next thing you know, you're holding the bag, or you're, getting the debt, or
exactly,
spending clearing up bills, stuff like that. So that's jacked up.
Yep, that's how it is.
So, as a female illusionist, has there been instances where you date others in the same industry? Does that work?
So, as of right now, sorry, a little hot. I am currently dating someone. I have a boyfriend, and he is also in the art of female illusion. Now, when we first started dating, it was actually funny because we did not speak on it at first. And then all of a sudden, I noticed that he shaved his face for whatever reason, unexpected. And I was like,
Just lopped off the beard and just...
Yeah, just out of nowhere. I was like, oh, well, this is a different look. And then all of a sudden we started talking and I was like, figured it out. So you're doing what I'm doing without saying what I'm doing. So that's how it ended up working out. But I mean, honestly, this person here who I've been dating has been amazing. It's been very different compared to all of my other experiences. Like I said, the whole fetishizing thing and all that, like with this particular individual, I actually feel human. So that's, that's amazing. And, it's definitely something that I cherish.
I mean, that's a great feeling. I mean, if someone's making you feel, human, making you feel that secure and just, I think that's a great feeling. I think that's a great start and a great foundation with someone.
Yes, most definitely.
So, for those out there who are aspiring female illusionists, and even just moving to Atlanta, because number one, Atlanta is full, but we still getting people moving in all the time.
Oh, most definitely. We're full.
Yeah, we're very full.
Get out.
I mean, but you have people who are in other parts just like, okay, I got to move to Atlanta, but where do I start? How do I come to a city like Atlanta and get my start in whatever industry they may be seeking? But, as it pertains to being a female illusionist, someone who's straight off the bus, straight off the plane, and they're not only interested in pursuing a career as, a performer, but also they want to find love. They want to find happiness. They want to find the big house, picket fence, dog, 2.5 kids, whatever, what would you say to them? Someone bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, stars in their eyes. What would you tell them as far as reconciling the fantasy versus the reality?
The biggest thing that I will tell you is don't be surprised to fail. And when you fail, just continue and use it as a learning experience. Most people tend to fail and then get stuck in a rut. And when you move to a new city, first of all, no one knows you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're failing, no one cares. So continue to fail until you become something. And then when you become something, that's when you start to push and make sure you do your things the right way. So you don't want to go and try to attack something on a higher level where you're not ready for. Just baby steps until you get there. And once you get there, continue to build and go from there. As far as someone moving to the city and wanting to do what it is that I do, my advice would be definitely to go and support the local entertainment. Be visible, be seen, go out and expose yourself, network, and do proper effective networking, which means going and meeting people, finding out what they do in their industry. How do both of the industries connect? Is there any type of connection or not? If there's a connection, go for it. If there's not, then thank you for the conversation. And a cocktail.
Don't forget the cocktail.
Don't forget the cocktail.
That's important. I got you. All right. So with that being said, thank you so much for gracing the stage of Ringside. But
Sure.
before we exit, kind of let the subscribers, the people out there, if they want to find you, if they want to follow your shows, follow your social media, how can they do that?
Sure. So my social media is Marie Paris Santiago, and it's spelled Ymarie Paris Paris Santiago Santiago, and I'm known as the only Latina Goddess. So that's on all social media platforms.
All right. Curiosity,
Yes.
beginning, who were some of your idols or inspirations or influences as far as getting into this industry?
Honestly, my drag mother was one of my biggest inspiration, who's Mariah Paris Balenciaga, and she was on RuPaul and all of that as well. She is actually one of my biggest inspirations that I wanted to get into it. I always felt like I wanted to just do, but when I met her before she got on the show, and then I met her during the show and after the show, it was just one of those things that clicked, and I said, that's for me. That's something I can do, and that's something that I can excel in. And here I am.
Seems like you did it.
I did it, and I'm still going to continue to do it and still going to continue to go.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Everybody out there, really quickly, make sure you subscribe to the channel.
Yes.
Hit that notification bell, and if you can, drop some comments down below. We're going to have all of Marie's social media, website. If you want to find her, just click the links below. It will be in the description. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, everybody. This is Ringside's Corner Confessions, and we are out.
Peace.
Take care.